Good morning, spacemen. Welcome to Space Operations Delta. I'm your Captain Collins. Welcome back to Space Engineers. Today I want to show you how you can build your first ever rover. Very basic design so that you know what you need on your first vehicle, and then you can start off with this information and build bigger and better things from there. And for that, let's jump right into the game. I'm in here in a creative mode. That's where you can build everything you want in the game without the necessary resources that you need for it. If you start building something like a ship or a rover or anything, you need to start with a landing gear. And with a small landing gear, you can start building a small rover. And I want to start with a small landing gear right here. What you do is you place that into the sky so that it falls down onto your platform, and you can start from there. It doesn't matter where it is in the end at your rover, because this is just a stand where you build on top your rover. So I placed one inside, and then where you start is by putting a few blocks on top of it so that your rover will be starting a little bit elevated, so that way you can go on. With a rover, you need a cockpit on top of it. You can already start with putting a cockpit on top of this thing here so that you can see the dimensions. There you go. There's your cockpit. That's definitely something that you need. Or you could also do a rover cockpit, which I prefer in this case actually. So let's grind this thing away, put a rover thing on top of that. We have a buggy cockpit. That's a cool one. What I also need on a rover, on a very simple rover, is a battery. A battery will power your wheels, will power everything that you need in there, and we'll just put a battery like a backpack behind it. And what we also need is a connector, because we need to connect this rover onto our station afterwards. So we also need a connector. A connector will provide the rover then with energy that it can get from the station, like this. This is the absolute minimum here for our rover. Then what I like to do is placing some armor blocks underneath as a foundation. But also, if you ride on uneven ground, don't want to destroy anything there on top of that rover. And also that's good for placing some stuff here that you would maybe need. What I advise you to do is placing a gyro on top of that. That way you won't be falling with that rover too much. It doesn't matter where it is, it just needs to be on top there. What's also pretty cool to have is an ore detector on it. An ore detector will give you some information where ores are around you. Maybe because that's your first rover, you will need that for exploration, searching for materials around you. The only thing that we're missing are wheels. For the wheels, there is a thing that you need to keep in mind, because if you're placing some wheels, there are suspensions for left and right. And we're going here with the off-road wheel suspension 3x3. because 1x1 is very short. There you go. That's our first wheel. Our second wheel. The wheels get attached automatically, so you don't have to bother. There you go. And there you go. Oh, this was wrong. As you can see, this is a good example because you have a good way to place them and a bad way to place them. This was the bad way, and this is the good way. What's a good indicator is if you take a closer look at this here, for example. That is a security symbol, and these security symbols give you a hint on how to place the stuff. So if you take a look again and we try to place something the other way around, then you will see that the security symbols right there, you can see it on the right corner. This here is upside down, and that way you see that your complete part is maybe upside down, and that you need to change it to this. Now you see that the symbol is good, and you're also good with your parts. If we now get rid of the parts underneath, boom, boom, and boom, there you go. The rover stands. You should be able to just go in there and V for outside view and drive around. The rover is working. Look at that. That's your basic rover. The only thing that you need for on your base is now a connector, and you can connect the rover to your base. You can start from here and expand with storages, expand with a drill maybe, or whatever you need. This is basic a rover for exploring your planet. So before you go off and drive around and maybe have some issues with your rover, I would advise you to go into your control panel menu and first thing do a group of your wheels. Let's call them wheels. We save that group. I will not show this anymore in my terminal. There we go. We got rid of the wheels and now we have one single thing for the wheels. The wheels can be adjusted with some things underneath here. So you have, for example, the steering angle, which will decide how fast you will turn. This is something that you maybe want to adjust. If you're turning too fast or you're turning too hard, your rover will likely trip. Also the same with power. If you see that your rover is going up at the front, maybe you want to adjust the power of the rear wheels or of every single wheel to, let's say, a little bit down to whatever. Just try it out. At the start, it's a lot of trying out in this game. There are also some things that are maybe not that simple. Like, for example, the friction here is kind of like your torque. It works the same way. So if your wheels lose some grip on the ground, you get more friction on your wheels and it works like you were increasing the torque. I know that's not the one-to-one the same thing. At least it works like that. Your wheels will not spin that much and you get a lot more grip on the ground. Then you also have your height offset. You need to adjust that. You want to have it a little bit low, a little bit higher. This will be definitely something that you need to consider for bigger builds. That way you can adjust the headroom underneath your vehicle. You can also set some speed limits. You can also put a propulsion override. A propulsion override means nothing than just giving you this amount that you put in there. A steer override means that it will always steer that way. You can't adjust really if you have a problem with your rover. For example, your rover is always driving to the left side, slightly to the left side. You can't really override that to turn just a little bit right. That doesn't work. That means that your rover has some weight issues on one side than the other. So you need to adjust the weight on the rover because that will determine if your rover will turn slightly to the left or slightly to the right. So yeah, like I said, this is a very, very easy and fast rover design where you can start off with. And you can make this bigger and better, of course, taking big blocks, for example, making a big mobile mining base like I showed you in the last videos, for example, about the rotating solar panel. So if you want to have a lot more short tips and tricks, then don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And we'll see us again in the next video of the Space Engineers. Thank you so much. I'm Captain Collins. I'm out. And we'll see us again on twitch.tv/Captain Collins. See you soon. Bye.